Sharks have always exerted a fascination mixed with fear among us. When a group of fishermen found a giant shark stranded on the coast, curiosity quickly turned to concern. The animal was still breathing, but barely moving, clearly fighting for its life. Deciding to intervene, the fishermen called a veterinarian. The vet arrived without delay, carrying his emergency kit. The shark was almost immobile, but caution was still needed given its mouth full of sharp teeth. The examination revealed a large bulge in its abdomen, a mass that clearly didn't belong there. With the skill of someone who had faced similar situations before, albeit always in the controlled environment of his clinic, the vet prepared for the incision. The tension was palpable. Any mistake could be fatal. He cut into the bulge, and everyone present held their breath until the contents were exposed. Everyone's jaw dropped. How was that possible? In the vast and rolling sea of the Gulf Stream, a team of fishermen faced yet another day of toil under the scorching sun. The nets, though cast with the precision of veterans, returned surprisingly empty, heightening the despair of a month already marked by scarcity. Tension hung thick in the salty air. The season was not favorable, and to make matters worse, the constant fear of unwanted encounters with sharks loomed over every man aboard. "It's getting harder by the day, isn't it?" murmured Carlos, as he examined yet another nearly empty net, his face marked by the wrinkles of many years at sea. His fellow boatmates, men equally weathered by the sun and brine, only nodded, their gazes fixed on the murky waters. Then something unusual broke the monotony of the day. A few meters from the boat, the water began to churn strangely, not with the swift elegance of a big fish, but in a slow and heavy manner. Initially, they thought it to be another stroke of bad luck, another predator to empty their nets. But instead, what emerged from the depths was a shark, immense and clearly in distress, moving with evident difficulty. "Look at that!" exclaimed Joao, pointing to the large animal. Its belly was abnormally swollen, forming a grotesque bulge that seemed unnatural. "That's not normal, it must be sick or injured," pondered Tiago, the youngest of the crew, as the shark circled slowly around the boat, its expression conveying a mix of curiosity and fear. The shark's situation, so majestic yet so vulnerable, sparked a heated debate among the fishermen. Life at sea had taught each of them the value of respect for nature and its creatures, even those feared like sharks. "We must help," asserted Pedro, the captain, his voice cutting through the sea breeze with determination. "We can't let an animal suffer like this, even if it's a shark. We need to call a marine veterinarian." There were murmurs of agreement, despite some reservations. After all, bringing a shark close could be dangerous, but empathy for the creature in agony outweighed the fear. "I'll make the call," said Carlos, retrieving his cell phone from a waterproof bag. The others continued to watch the shark, feeling a mix of admiration and pity, as the animal struggled in their waters, now not just a backdrop for work, but a stage for an imminent rescue operation. With the shark still circling the boat, the fishermen prepared to bring the immense animal to the shore where they could perform a safer intervention. Under Pedro's coordination, they chose a small cove with easy access and calmer waters, essential for such a delicate and unusual procedure. "We'll need strong ropes and large nets," instructed Pedro as they navigated slowly toward the shore. "And keep a safe distance until the veterinarian arrives. No one approaches without guidance." Meanwhile, Carlos, still with his phone in hand, communicated with the marine veterinarian, Dr. Lucia, explaining the urgent situation. "He's very swollen, doctor. I've never seen anything like it. We need you here as soon as possible." Dr. Lucia, in turn, expressed her concern and curiosity. "I'm on my way. Prepare the site and try to keep the shark calm and close to the shore. We'll use sedatives to facilitate handling without causing further stress to the animal." Once the site was chosen and the area prepared, the fishermen set up a safety perimeter with finer nets, intended to guide the shark into the cove without completely restricting its movements. They knew that any mistake could be fatal for both them and the animal. When Dr. Lucia arrived, bringing with her a team and specialized equipment, she was greeted by an anxious but relieved group at her presence. She quickly assessed the situation, instructing the fishermen on how to proceed. "We'll start with a mild tranquilizer. she explained, preparing a long pole with a syringe on the end. "I need you to use the boats to gently steer it toward the shore. Make slow and steady movements." The fishermen, now under new orders, worked together to guide the shark into the proper position. The tense silence was broken only by the sound of the waves and the calm instructions of Dr. Lucia. Meanwhile, concern grew. Despite efforts to keep it calm, the shark showed signs of stress. Its swollen belly swayed worryingly with each movement of the animal. "Everything's ready, Doctor," announced Pedro after a few minutes of careful maneuvering. "Can we begin?" With a nod, Dr. Lucia approached, holding the pole firmly. "Let's do this. Stay ready for any emergencies." The fisherman watched, holding on to ropes and nets, ready to assist, as the veterinarian went about her work. The tension was palpable, but there was a spark of hope that they could save this imposing creature that, by a twist of fate, had crossed their paths in the vastness of the Gulf. With Dr. Lucia and her team's arrival at the site, procedures began to stabilize the shark in the cove. The chosen beach provided relatively easy access to the animal, and the shallow water made handling easier, though the task itself was risky and complex. First, Dr. Lucia administered a mild sedative through a pole equipped with a syringe. The medication was crucial to reduce the shark's stress and minimize risks during the procedure. "Let's wait for it to react to the sedative," she instructed, closely monitoring the shark's behavior. As the sedative took effect, the fishermen and medical team prepared the necessary equipment for the surgery. Wet blankets were spread over the sand to protect the shark's skin, and buckets of seawater were constantly poured over the animal to keep it hydrated. After some tense moments, the shark began to show signs of calmness, moving less and allowing the team to work more safely. Dr. Lucia, using a special underwater stethoscope, checked the animal's vital signs. "His heart is stable, but we can't delay," she said, looking to her team with urgency. It was clear to all present that the situation was critical. The bulge in the shark's belly was alarming, and the need for surgical intervention became indisputable. "We need to make an incision to check what's causing this swelling. Is everyone ready?" asked the veterinarian, carefully selecting her surgical instruments. The fishermen watched, helping where they could, holding equipment or passing tools to the medical team. Communication among them was done in whispers and signals, keeping the environment as calm as possible to not disturb the sedated shark. Finally, with everything prepared, Dr. Lucia began the surgery. The incision was made with surgical precision, and all eyes were fixed on the shark's belly, waiting to discover what was causing such discomfort to the animal. However, as often happens in emergency procedures, not everything went as planned. During the surgery, the shark began to stir slightly, a sign that the sedative was starting to wear off. "We need more sedative here," exclaimed Dr. Lucia, remaining calm despite the complicated situation. A team member quickly administered an additional dose, while others held the shark to prevent sudden movements. After a tense moment, the large fish calmed down again, and the surgery could continue. Every second was crucial, and Dr. Lucia's skill and calmness were evident. She worked with an efficiency that only years of experience could provide, guided by a profound respect for the creature under her care. The beach became an improvised operating room, where the life of a majestic being hung by a thread under the watchful eyes of seafaring men, united in the effort to save a non-human life but no less valuable. After administering an additional dose of sedative, Dr. Lucia resumed the surgery with renewed urgency. The conditions were far from ideal, with sand under her feet and the constant sound of waves breaking on the beach, but her concentration was unwavering. With steady and precise hands, she carefully expanded the incision, while her team illuminated the work area with strategically positioned lanterns. The fishermen involved in this unexpected mission watched silently, providing physical and emotional support. They held the shark carefully, keeping the animal as still as possible as the surgery progressed. "I'm seeing something," announced Dr. Lucia, her low voice tense with anticipation. With the help of surgical forceps, she began to carefully extract the object causing the bulge. It was a delicate process, each movement meticulously calculated to avoid further damage to the already debilitated animal. The fisherman leaned forward, trying to see what was being extracted. The tension was palpable. Breaths were held, gazes fixed on the opening that Dr. Lucia was working on. Finally, with a combination of skill and gentleness, Dr. Lucia removed a heavily corroded toolbox bag from salt and seawater. "Here it is," she said, placing the bag on a sterilized cloth beside her. It was a surprising sight, a common bag, probably lost by some boat, now the cause of so much suffering for such a formidable creature. The fishermen murmured among themselves, shocked and relieved at the same time. "How did this end up inside him?" asked one of them, perplexed. "It was probably swallowed while looking for food," explained Dr. Lucia, inspecting the shark for more internal injuries. "These animals sometimes don't distinguish between food and human garbage in the sea." With the strange object removed, the next challenge was to close the incision. Dr. Lucia worked quickly, suturing with steady hands. The shark, still under the effects of the sedatives, remained calm, a silent victim of circumstances. "We're almost there," she informed as she finished the sutures. "We need to monitor him as he regains consciousness. His reaction in the next few minutes will be crucial to his recovery." The fishermen prepared for the final phase of the rescue. They arranged a system to keep the shark in the water, allowing seawater to flow over its gills, facilitating breathing. The beach became a place of hope and renewal as they anxiously awaited the shark's awakening, fervently wishing for it to regain its strength. Dr. Lucia, cleaning her tools, watched her patient with a mixture of professional concern and admiration. "We've done what we could," she told the fisherman. "Now, nature needs to do the rest." On that beach, under the sky slowly changing color with the sunset, a group of humans and a sea creature were intertwined in a common struggle for life. Each breath of the shark, each breaking wave, resonated as a reminder of the fragility and interconnectedness of all life on Earth. With the operation completed and the beach bathed in the last lights of the day, the team and the fishermen watched the shark attentively. Gradually, signs of vigor began to manifest in the sedated animal. Its movements, slow but increasingly firm, indicated that the sedative was wearing off and it was returning to consciousness. Dr. Lucia and her team remained on standby, ready to intervene if necessary. The shark's breathing became more regular, its immense gills expanding and contracting with the flow of seawater that the fishermen carefully directed to it with buckets. Finally, with a vigorous movement that splashed water everywhere, the shark showed that it was ready to return to its natural habitat. The fishermen, with a mixture of relief and joy, helped guide the shark back into deeper waters, gently holding it by special bars until it could swim on its own. "It's time to let him go," said Dr. Lucia, signaling that the shark seemed capable of maintaining stability. Carefully, they released the animal, which slowly but with growing confidence swam away from the coast, disappearing into the depths of the ocean. The fishermen and the medical team watched the shark move away, each processing what had been an afternoon of intense emotions and unexpected actions. "I hope he fully recovers," murmured Pedro, the captain, as they gathered the equipment. "With time and no further complications, he should recover well," replied Dr. Lucia, storing her tools. "Your work today was crucial. It shows the impact we can have when we respect and care for the animals with whom we share this planet." As the sun completely set, the fishermen reflected on the event. It was a story they would certainly tell many times over, a reminder of the interconnectedness between their lives and the creatures of the sea. "What we encountered today," Carlos began, "was not just about saving a shark. It was a lesson about the impact of our actions and how even a simple lost object can have unimaginable consequences for marine life. The others agreed, and as they packed up the remaining equipment, they discussed ways to prevent similar incidents in the future. Perhaps an ocean cleanup campaign or workshops on more sustainable fishing practices. The day ended with promises of action and change, a renewed commitment to the ocean that provided them so much. The incident with the shark was not just a successful rescue, but also a turning point, a moment of deep recognition of human responsibility towards the many beings that share the same blue world.